Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. After yesterday's inaugural session and grand award ceremony, I am sure all of you would be eager to witness and participate in the induction ceremony of fellows, foreign fellows and young associates. Without any further delay, let me request Dr. Sanat Mishra, President INAE, Professor Indranil Manna, Vice President INAE, Dr. Purnendu Ghosh, Vice President INAE, Dr. Pradeep, Vice President INAE, Professor K. Bhanu Sankara Rao, Chief Editor of Publications INAE, and Lieutenant Colonel Shobhit Rai, retired, Deputy Executive Director INAE, to kindly please come forward and join us on the dais, please. May I request Dr. Sanat Mishra, President INAE, to please deliver the presidential address.
Good morning, Professor Indranil Manna, Dr. Purnendu Ghosh and Dr. Pradeep, the three Vice Presidents of INAE, Professor K. Bhanu Sankara Rao, Chief Editor of Publications, esteemed Fellows of INAE, young associates, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I welcome you all to the induction ceremony. At the outset, I express my sincere wishes for your excellent health and well-being in these very challenging times of the worldwide COVID-19 pandemic, which has taken up most part of the year and unfortunately is not over as yet. It is praiseworthy to note that the INAE Fellows and young associates over the years have contributed to the growth of the Academy and also have helped enhance INAE's visibility in the national and international engineering fora and policy domains. My sincere thanks are expressed for all former presidents and office bearers of INAE since the inception and the esteemed fellowship and enthusiastic young associates who have all shown utmost sincerity and dedication in devoting their precious time towards contributing to the activities and programs of INAE. These have added value to its image and maturity as a recognized body of eminent engineers. You all have witnessed that since the raising of the Academy, INAE has undergone a change in terms of the increase in its visibility in the national engineering domain. In the recent past, INAE has been recognized as an advisory body to the government departments and agencies for providing inputs for engineering interventions to help solve problems on topics of current engineering interest and in the framing of national policies on identified areas. I would like to touch upon and initiate a subject related to the nomination process for election to INAE Fellowship. It is concerning the submission, scrutiny and processing of nominations. As you may be aware, an INAE digital platform has been created to facilitate INAE Fellows submitting nominations online for fellowship and other schemes and awards, and for improved functioning and digitizing of the operations of INAE office. This year, the nominations were invited online for fellowship, which received an overwhelming response. The review of the carried forward and new nominations for fellowship by INAE Fellows was also conducted online for the first time through login facility provided to INAE Fellows on the INAE digital platform. The entire process of scrutiny of nominations was done through the digital platform, and the first meeting of the sectional committees were held online through WebEx to shortlist the nominations for peer review prior to the second meeting of the sectional committees. The fellowship module was successfully deployed for the first time to facilitate the online submissions, review and scrutiny of nominations. The entire selection process was also conducted online through the digital platform, and online meetings and sincere efforts of the fellowship involved in this intricate process are deeply appreciated. INAE conducts a plethora of meaningful technical activities each year on the topics of national engineering interest. This year, many of the scheduled events had to be deferred or cancelled in the wake of the ongoing pandemic. Governments across the world are battling to contain and eradicate the pandemic. As you may be aware, I have confirmed the commitment of INAE to the efforts of the Government of India in the fight against the COVID-19 pandemic. Through my letters addressed to the Principal Secretary to the Prime Minister, wherein I have conveyed our utmost admiration in the exemplary manner in which measures have been taken by the Government of India under the inspired leadership of the Honorable Prime Minister towards the containment and eradication of the COVID-19 pandemic. INAE kept its commitments by forwarding the names of INAE Fellows and INAE Young Associates to the Department of Science and Technology for offering their expertise to mitigate any dimension of the COVID-19 pandemic form. In addition, a special issue of the Transactions of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, Volume 5, Issue 2, June 2020, on Technologies for Fighting COVID-19 was brought out, published by Springer Nature. This journal provides a platform for collating appropriate technologies and for bringing the innovators and industries together to ensure successful translation of the technologies into practice for the benefit of the citizens, and was made available on Springer website in open domain for the benefit of researchers and readers from all across the globe. It is the earnest prayer of all fellow human beings that the pandemic situation dissipates in intensity with each passing day and the world gets a reprieve from this calamity so that all normal activities can be resumed with full force soon. Let us hope that the new year will herald a new dawn, and the feasibility of physical meetings becomes a reality again. The election of fellows is indeed an important activity of the Academy, and I welcome the newly elected fellows and foreign fellows into the INAE fold. The Academy welcomes their contributions, and I congratulate all the newly elected fellows and foreign fellows, and we may now commence the induction ceremony.
Thank you so much, sir, for sharing your thoughts and views with all of us today. Ladies and gentlemen, may I request Professor Indraneel Manna, Vice President INAE, to please conduct the induction ceremony now.
It is now my pleasure to announce the fellows elected under Rule 37G of the Academy in the year 2020. The first fellow elected is Mr. S.K. Rungta, Non-Executive Chairman of Bharat Aluminium Company Limited. Now I have the honor of reading out the citation for Mr. S.K. Rungta, Non-Executive Chairman of Bharat Aluminium Company Limited. He has made significant contributions in the growth of the steel and aluminium industry. As former Chairman of Steel Authority of India Limited, SAIL, his astute vision of the micro aspects of the business at the ground level, coupled with global and strategic vision, helped him transform SAIL as one of the most admired steel companies in the world. He was instrumental in establishing several successful joint ventures between SAIL and Tata Steel for coking coal development and 2 slag-based joint venture cement plants. In 2011, he joined Vedanta Group as its Managing Director, Aluminium and Power Business, wherein he brought out significant improvements in asset utilization, financial and operational performance, project commissioning, and took strategic steps for long-term raw material security. He has thus successfully held the role of CEO for major public and private sector companies across diverse sectors, steel, aluminium, and power infrastructure, which are critical to nation building. Mr. Rungta has held several prominent positions as an expert, including Chairman of Panel of Experts on Reforms in the Central PSCs constituted by the Planning Commission. The report by the committee, widely known as Rungta Committee report is generally taken as a benchmark for CPAC reforms. He also served as Chairman, Board of Governors, Indian Institute of Technology, Bhubaneswar from 2012 to 2015. He presently serves as the Director on the board of several companies, namely Jubilant Life Sciences, Hero Steels Limited, JK Paper Limited, and as Member of Management, JK Lakshmipat University. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Mr. S.K. Rungta as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Mr. S.K. Rungta, as a Fellow thereof.
I convey my grateful thanks to Indian National Academy of Engineering for conferring this fellowship award to me. In fact, it is a great honor for me to receive this award from INAE.
Now I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Ravindra Dattatreya Kulkarni, Managing Director, LK Chemicals Private Limited, Founder and Managing Director, Silicon International Products, Partner, ArcLight Specialty Lamps Private Limited, Founding Director, Aeropure UV Systems Private Limited, and Founding Director, Litex Electrical Private Limited, Pune. He has made significant contributions in the areas of surfaces and interfacial chemistry and silicon technology. He developed a broad-based silicon technology platform capable of launching diversified specialty silicon products for India and global markets. He founded LK Chemicals Private Limited in 1994 and commercialized silicon products for diversified industrial applications. His vision was to leverage Indian technical capabilities to secure global business footprint. This was achieved by creating a highly effective innovation-centric organization that ensured environmentally sustainable processes and products of global standards. The specialty silicon products developed include textile finishing agents, petrochemical additives, agro adjuvants, pharma intermediates, personal care, and custom applications. Dr. Kulkarni developed and commercialized first ever most integrated silicon recycling process capable of converting wide range of silicon scrap into saleable silicon fluid within global regulatory and environmental parameters. He was responsible for development and commercialization of hydrosilation process, that is the process of bonding chemical moiety to silicoxane backbone through silicon-carbon bond in India for the first time. This has enabled LK to create a series of import substitutions. Thus far, over 20 such important substitutions have been developed, commercialized, and exported. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Ravindra Dattatreya Kulkarni as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Mr. Ravindra Dattatreya Kulkarni, as a Fellow thereof.
Thank you very much for the award. It is indeed an honor and great privilege to be a member of National Academy of Engineers. Thank you, and thank you again.
May I now request Dr. Punendu Ghosh, Vice President INAE, to read out citation of inductee fellows from Engineering Section 1 to Engineering Section 5, one by one. Dr. Punendu Ghosh, please.
List of fellows and foreign fellows to be inducted, Engineering Sections 1 to 5. Fellows. Engineering Section 1, Civil Engineering, and here are the names. Professor M.M. Ghangrekar. I have great pleasure in introducing Professor M.M. Ghangrekar, Institute Chair Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, IIT Kharagpur. He has made significant research contributions in the area of environmental engineering and wastewater treatment. He focused on providing engineering solutions for recovery of bioenergy during wastewater treatment. He designed more than 25 sewage industrial effluent treatment plants in India. He has been helping various states and central government for providing sanitation solutions. He designed, installed and commissioned sewage treatment plants on campus to produce reusable water at affordable cost. He demonstrated world's first and largest MFC-based on-site toilet waste treatment system, bioelectric toilet. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor M.M. Ghangrekar as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor M.M. Ghangrekar, as a Fellow thereof.
Extremely honored to be elected as a fellow INAE and feeling grateful for this recognition. This would not have been possible without the inspiration of my respected seniors and colleagues.
Professor Chandrasekhar Prasad Ojha. I have great pleasure in introducing Professor Chandrasekhar Prasad Ojha, Professor and Head Civil Engineering Department, IIT Roorkee. He has made significant research contributions in the area of water resources engineering and environmental hydraulics. He developed generalized models of seepage phase and the phreatic surface well functions for the planning and utilization of groundwater resources and relationship for drag coefficient and fall velocity of non-spherical canals and mining industry. He also developed water quality models for water resource management issues and climate change impacts in the Ganga, Yamuna, Brahmaputra and Satluj Bias basins. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Chandrasekhar Prasad Ojha as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Chandrasekhar Prasad Ojha, as a Fellow thereof.
I am very delighted to receive this honor from Indian National Academy of Engineering. I also feel very privileged to be part of INAE family. Thank you very much.
Dr. Subramanian Narayanan. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Subramanian Narayanan, Consulting Engineer and formerly Proprietor and Chief Executive Computer Design Consultant. He has made significant contribution in the area of structural engineering and RC and steel design. He designed several noteworthy structures including 600 microwave transmission towers and developed several software packages. He pioneered and developed several software packages in the area of structural analysis and design of RC and steel. Originally on mainframe computers and then on personal computers in the 1980s, which were used by more than 150 consultants organizations located all over India. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Subramanian Narayanan as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Subramanian Narayanan, as a Fellow thereof.
I am very happy, privileged to accept the National Academy of Engineering Fellowship. Thank you.
Engineering Section 2, Computer Engineering and Information Technology, and here are the names. Professor Naveen Garg. I have great pleasure introducing Professor Naveen Garg, Professor Computer Science and Engineering, IIT Delhi. He has made significant research contributions in the area of design and analysis of approximation algorithms for NP-hard combinatorial optimization, including extending the classic max flow min-cut theorem to the settling of multiple commodities. He developed a simple framework for solving a variety of packing linear programs, which led to faster polynomial approximation schemes for computing maximum multi-commodity flows, maximum concurrent flows, minimum cost flows, fractional Steiner forests, and facility location. He obtained a constant approximation for complex problem of weighted flow time on a single machine. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Naveen Garg as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Naveen Garg, as a Fellow thereof.
Honored to be accepted to the INAE Fellowship. I am delighted to accept this honor. Thank you so much.
Professor Sudeep Mishra. I have great pleasure introducing Professor Sudeep Mishra, Professor, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, IIT Kharagpur. He has made significant research contributions in the area of Internet of Things and wireless sensor networks, including problems pertaining to IoT network adoption for networks with intermittent connectivity, dense network traffic, and economically constrained users. His AmbuSense and AgriSense system focus on alleviating the issues pertaining to healthcare and agriculture. His fundamental and applied research contributions are in traffic, mobility, energy, QoS, and delay aware. His network optimization solutions ensure sustainable utilization of low energy and low data rate networking for achieving reliable communications. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Sudeep Mishra as a Fellow of the International Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Sudeep Mishra, as a Fellow thereof.
I would like to thank INAE for honoring me with this particular fellowship. I am also very much thankful to the Institute, the Indian Institute of Technology, IIT Kharagpur, and the Department of Computer Science and Engineering.
I have great pleasure introducing Dr. Harik Mayank Wen, TCS Fellow and Chief Services Innovation Officer, Tata Consultancy Services, Pune. He has made significant research contributions in the area of information technology, machine learning, and artificial intelligence. He conceptualized and designed INAE, the world's first cognitive automation product for enterprises, which, unlike state-of-the-art robotic automation systems that have to be configured with precise instructions to handle every situation, INAE, like the human brain, has the ability to translate intent into a plan, operationalize the plan through a sequence of actions, leveraging acquired skills, and as well as learned through experiences and training. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Harik Mayank Wen as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Harik Mayank Wen, as a Fellow thereof.
I would like to thank the Indian National Academy of Engineering for inviting me to be a member of this inspiring group. Thank you.
Dr. Suparna Bhattacharya. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Suparna Bhattacharya, Distinguished Technologies, Hewlett Packard Enterprise, Bangalore. She has made significant research contributions in the area of artificial intelligence, machine learning, data optimization, including major open source contributions to the Linux kernel, resource proportional software design for emerging systems, and intelligence storage for edge-to-core analytics. She has to her credit several aware storage inventions that intelligently prioritize insight-rich data. Her work on resource proportional design offers a principled approach to create more efficient software and systems that are adaptable and easier to use in a changing technological environment. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Suparna Bhattacharya as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Suparna Bhattacharya, as a Fellow thereof.
Thank you very much for this honor. I'm truly grateful to the Indian National Academy of Engineering for electing me a Fellow of the Academy. This will further encourage me to keep pushing the boundaries of technology and to continue striving to make it matter. Thank you again.
Engineering Section 3, Mechanical Engineering, and here are the names. Dr. Pramod Kumar. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Pramod Kumar, Associate Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, University of Science, Bangalore. He has made significant research contributions in the area of thermal energy system and heat transfer and has indigenously developed supercritical carbon dioxide based Brayton cycle system, overcoming critical R&D challenges. His work on SCO2 has led to technology development in collaboration with key industries such as Triveni Turbines, BHEL, and Tata Consultancy. Consulting engineers, and is being implemented by Indian Navy as the first end user. He has also developed a lab-scale two-stage silica gel absorption cooling cum desalination system with a high COP using low-grade solar heat. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Pramod Kumar as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Pramod Kumar, as a Fellow thereof.
Honored to be elected as an INAE Fellow, and I'm very thankful to the committee members as well as the INAE President for honoring me with this fellowship. Thank you.
Professor Amitabh Datta. I have great pleasure in introducing Professor Amitabh Datta, Professor, Department of Power Engineering, Jadavpur University, Kolkata. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of thermal engineering and microfluidics and proposed an improved design of domestic cook stoves with increased thermal efficiency. His studies on formation of soot precursor nanoparticles have given novel insight with regard to particulate emission from gasoline engines. He has made fundamental contributions on the pressure swirl atomization, prediction of drop size distribution in sprays, liquid fuel combustion with soot prediction in gas turbine combustion chambers, and gasification of biomass. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Amitabh Datta as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Amitabh Datta, as a Fellow thereof.
Honor and privilege for me to be elected as the Fellow of INAE and receive the award. I consider myself fortunate to be amongst the distinguished academicians and professionals, to many of whom I kept looking up during my journey.
I have great pleasure in introducing Professor Soumitra Paul, Department of Mechanical Engineering, Institute of Technology, Kharagpur. He has made significant research contributions in the area of machining and grinding and has developed a surface grinding technique with cryogenic cooling to improve the surface integrity aspects upon grinding. He successfully demonstrated the application of cryogenic cooling in the machining of various steels and aerospace superalloys. He also developed an indigenous high-pressure cooling technology for high-speed machining of superalloys and an ultrasonic assisted abrasive micro deburring technology for micro machined components. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Soumitra Paul as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Soumitra Paul, as a Fellow thereof.
For this award, I am really honored to receive it. I acknowledge the contribution of my students, my mentors and collaborators towards this journey. Thank you once again.
I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. R. Balasubramaniam, Head Design and Manufacturing Section, BARC, Mumbai. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of precision engineering and CAD/CAM and pioneered the activity of establishing diamond turn machining technology in the country for mass manufacturing of ultra-precision components. He developed indigenous diamond turn machines and single crystal diamond tool and contributed towards indigenous manufacturing of large size metal mirrors for largest gamma rays telescope. He promoted technologies for rural India applications and was involved in establishing rural human resource development facility at Pandharpur as DAE Outreach Center. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. R. Balasubramaniam as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. R. Balasubramaniam, as a Fellow thereof.
INAE for honoring me with Fellow of National Academy of Engineering. Thank you very much.
I have great pleasure introducing Professor Kamal Kishore Pant, Head and Petrotech Chair, Professor, Department of Chemical Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi. He has made significant research contributions in the area of reaction engineering and catalysis, including development of green catalytic processes for refineries and petrochemicals, carbon dioxide to methanol and DME, plastic and e-waste management, fuels and valuable added chemicals from agro residues. He has contributed towards construction and successful demonstration of India's first zero-waste pilot plant for electronic and plastic waste conversion to fuel and extraction of precious metals from e-waste. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Kamal Kishore Pant as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Kamal Kishore Pant, as a Fellow thereof.
Thankful for providing me this prestigious INAE fellowship. I'm really thankful to the award committee and the President INAE for recognizing my research work. Thank you.
I have great pleasure in introducing Professor Pushpavanam Subramaniam, Institute Chair Professor, Department of Chemical Engineering, IIT Madras. He has made significant research contributions in the area of microfluidics, energy and grid engineering, including development of framework for the prediction of equilibrium data of extraction of radioactive metals from aqueous solutions using tributyl phosphate as the organic phase. In microfluidics, he developed semi-analytical approaches to understand how inertia can be used to improve mixing. A method using a commercial laser printer was developed by him to print paper-based microfluidic devices which uses polystyrene in the cartridge ink and thermal treatment to create hydrophobic barriers. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Pushpavanam Subramaniam as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Pushpavanam Subramaniam, as a Fellow thereof.
Deeply honored and excited on being elected the Fellow of the National Academy of Engineers. I am very proud to be part of the esteemed group of engineers in the country.
I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Janhavi Sanjay Raut, General Manager, Unilever Research and Development, Bangalore. She has made significant research contributions in the area of soft matter, fluid dynamics, material science, and modeling of biological systems. She built leading-edge expertise-led collaborative projects with reputed national and international institutes and developed manpower to develop a wide range of internationally patented products innovations. She has led projects teams that have delivered more than 20 global products launches for Unilever in the area of photo protection technologies, microbiome and immunity-based technologies for skin health and beauty, hair scalp care, and oral dental health. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Janhavi Sanjay Raut as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Janhavi Sanjay Raut, as a Fellow thereof.
Academy for inducting me into its fellowship this year. It's been a huge honor, and I look forward to meeting all of you in person soon.
Engineering Section 5, Electrical Engineering, and here are the names. Professor Anil M. Kulkarni. I have great pleasure in introducing Professor Anil M. Kulkarni, Professor, Department of Electrical Engineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. He has made significant research contributions in the area of power electronics and systems, including power systems dynamics, flexible AC transmission system in controllers, high voltage DC systems, and wide range measurement systems. He was the key player in design analysis in the major exercise of turning power system stabilizers in the eastern and western grids of India collaboratively with the regional power committees and BAIL, which involved the actual implementation of stabilizer setting and validation in the field. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Anil M. Kulkarni as Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Anil M. Kulkarni, as a Fellow thereof.
For this honor bestowed upon me, I am Anil Manohar Kulkarni of Department of Electrical Engineering, IIT Bombay. I am grateful to my peers to have thought me worthy of this honor.
I have great pleasure in introducing Professor Umanand Loganathan, Professor, Department of Electronic System Engineering, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He has made significant research contributions in the area of power conversion and renewable energy system, including SVPMWM techniques and state-of-the-art digital controllers based on DSPs for AC drives. His work on adaptive and robust controllers for vector control of induction motors is a significant contribution. He introduced the concept of error decaying mechanism for stator flux estimates. His work on solar photovoltaic based on systems like grid connection and maximum power point tracking induction generation systems of wind and micro hydel plants is well known. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Umanand Loganathan as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Umanand Loganathan, as a fellow thereof.
Thankful for the Indian National Academy of Engineers for selecting me to be a fellow of this institution, which is the highest institution in the country for engineers.
Professor Indra Narayan Kaur. I have great pleasure in introducing Professor Indra Narayan Kaur, Professor, Department of Electrical Engineering, IIT Delhi. He has made significant research contributions in the area of mathematical control theory, nonlinear control and robotics, especially in control and estimation problems of dynamical systems arising in robotics, time delay systems and optimal control. He introduced a novel thermal sensation index based on on-off control to improve the control performance of an air conditioning system, and the technology has been applied in Indian Railways in air-conditioned coaches. He proposed a novel, robust, adaptive controller for a trajectory tracking of Euler-Lagrange systems in the face of system uncertainty and time delays. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Indra Narayan Kaur as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Indra Narayan Kaur, as a fellow thereof.
Thank you for electing me as a fellow of Indian National Academy of Engineering. Thank you.
I have great pleasure introducing Dr. Akhilanand Pati Tiwari, Associate Director, Knowledge Management Group, Bhabha Atomic Research Center, Trombay. He has made significant research contributions in the area of linear control theory and modeling, simulation and control of nuclear reactors, including development of liquid zone control system for design, validation and collection of commissioning and operational data for 54 QMWE pressurized heavy water reactor. The LZCS is a first of a kind system for reactivity control. He designed and evolved the algorithm for an instrument for a measurement of reactivity in nuclear reactors, which has been successfully deployed in small core nuclear reactors for calibration of fuel pins. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Akhilanand Pati Tiwari as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Akhilanand Pati, as a fellow thereof.
Happy to be inducted as fellow INAE. I also take this opportunity to thank my proposer, the seconder, members of the selection committee and President INAE. Thank you very much.
Foreign Fellows, and here are the names. Professor Nem Kumar Bantia. I have great pleasure introducing Professor Nem Kumar Bantia, Professor and Senior Canada Research Chair, University of British Columbia, Canada. He has made significant research contributions in the area of structural engineering and material science. His research addresses the world's aging infrastructure and in improving the lifespan of structures using high-performance materials and advanced designs, promoting industrial ecology by recycling waste from other industries, also building materials and improving monitoring and rehabilitation capabilities using sensors. His work in codes and standards both in Canada, India and indeed around the world is transforming the construction industry. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Nem Kumar Bantia as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Name Kumar Banthia, as a Fellow thereof.
Namaste. My sincere thanks to Indian National Academy of Engineering for the coveted honor of inducting me as a foreign fellow. It is a rare privilege, and I will do my utmost to live up to the expectations and serve the Academy. Thank you very much.
I have great pleasure introducing Professor Jayati Y. Murthy, Dean of UCLA's Samuel School of Engineering and Distinguished Professor, Department of Mechanical Engineering, UCLA, USA. She has made significant research contributions in the area of computational fluid dynamics and heat transfer, including invention of structural finite volume methods employing arbitrary convex polyhedral meshes which remove the geometric restrictions that had limited industrial use of computational fluid dynamics. A co-located formulation has been developed whereby pressure and Cartesian velocity components are stored at cell centroids. In the area of thermal radiation, she developed superior conservative point-coupled multi-grid techniques. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Jayati Y. Murthy as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Jayati Y. Murthy, as a Fellow thereof.
I'm deeply honored and deeply gratified to be inducted into the National Academy of Engineering. I am so thankful to everyone who supported me over the years.
I have great pleasure introducing Professor Nicholas Epapas, Cockrell Family Reagents Chair in Engineering, University of Texas at Austin, USA. He has made significant research contributions in the area of chemical engineering and biomedical engineering, including drug delivery, nanotechnology, and controlled release. His contributions have had significant impact on scientific discovery and subsequent benefits to human health. The multidisciplinary approach of his research in bio-nanotechnology and biomolecular engineering generated the next generation systems and devices, including biomems with enhanced applicability, reliability, functionality, and longevity. His contributions have been translated into several medical products. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Nicholas Epapas as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Nicholas A. Pepas, as a Fellow thereof.
I am delighted to accept this honor as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering. I thank my nominators and the many students, more than 60 Indian students and faculty members with whom I have collaborated. Thank you very much.
I have great pleasure introducing Mr. Vipin V. Bora, UOP Honeywell Fellow, retired Adjunct Professor, Department of Biological and Chemical Engineering, IIT Chicago, USA. He has made significant research contributions in the area of process development and petrochemical processes. He has been credited to leading development and commercialization of several new processes and technologies, among them UOP, Oleflex, processes for propane and isobutane dehydrogenation, higher conversion Pacol define and UOP CESPA detail alkylation processes for the production of linear alkyl benzenes, a raw material for synthetic detergents, and UOP hydro MTO processes for the conversion of methanol to olefins. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Mr. Bipin Vora as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Mr. Bipin V. Vora, as a Fellow thereof.
Namaste. This is truly a great honor. I am truly humbled and sincerely thank the National Academy and the Selection Committee for this honor.
I have great pleasure in introducing Professor Chanan Singh, Regent Professor and Irma Ranyan Chair, Professor, Department of Electrical and Computer Engineering, Texas A&M University, USA. He has made significant research contributions in the area of electrical power system and system reliability. He is pioneer in the field of power system reliability. He is credited with laying firm mathematical foundations for this area, which led to the development of sophisticated methods for reliability modeling, prediction, and improvements of power systems. His earlier seminal work on the impact of integration of variable energy sources like wind and solar with the grid is regarded classic and has formed the basis of many recent methods. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Chanan Singh as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Chanan Singh, as a Fellow thereof.
I am honored to be accepted as a foreign fellow into the Indian National Academy of Engineering. It gives me a more pride because this is the country where I was born, and to be honored over there, I am very fortunate. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Punendu Ghosh. And now may I invite Dr. Pradeep, Vice President INAE, to kindly read out the citations of inductee fellows from the Engineering Section 6 to Engineering Section 10, one by one. Dr. Pradeep, please.
I have the privilege of reading out the citations of the fellows to be inducted this year in Section 6, that is Electronics and Communication Engineering. Professor M.V. Karthikeyan. I have great pleasure in introducing Professor M.V. Karthikeyan, Professor on Deputation, the Department of Electrical Engineering at IIT Tirupati. He has made significant research contributions in the area of high power systems and wave engineering. His work on the design for 140, 170, 40 GHz gyrotrons paved the way for possible fusion reactors, thus opening up the possibility of new clean energy options. His contributions on gyrotrons for plasma heating applications in experimental tokamaks and accelerators is well recognized. He has worked on introduction of soft computing techniques in the microwave domain. He has pioneered the complete design that led to the successful development of the first Indian gyrotron operating at 42 GHz and 200 kilowatts CW. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor M.V. Karthikeyan as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor M.V. Karthikeyan, as a Fellow thereof.
INAE for this prestigious fellowship bestowed on me. Indeed, it is a huge recognition in my career.
Professor Mariam Shozi Bagini. I have great pleasure in introducing Professor Mariam Shozi Bagini, Professor, Department of Electrical Engineering, IIT Bombay. She has made significant research contributions in the area of sensor, devices, energy harvesting, power management, and integrated analog and mixed signal RF design, including sensors, circuits, and systems design, development, testing, fabrication and prototyping, field deployment, and translational research. She has contributed towards development of technology products for industry and towards the design, novel fabricated and tested sensor devices, and novel application-specific integrated circuits. She has also carried out design of analog, mixed signal, and RF integrated circuits for various industry applications. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Mariam Shozi Bagini as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Mariam Shozi Bagini, as a Fellow thereof.
Pleasure to thank you all, President of Indian Academy of Engineering, and all fellow members, staff, and everybody who is affiliated to INAE for giving me this honor.
Professor Jayadeva. I have great pleasure in introducing Professor Jayadeva, Institute Chair Professor and Head Department of Electrical Engineering, IIT Delhi. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of machine learning and VLSI and formulated an algorithm to detect rare clusters. He pioneered the twin SVM, which is not sensitive to class size imbalance. He showed how to use bounds on the VC dimensions to learn sparse models. He was among the first to design and realize an SVM-based AD converter in 2006. The design demonstrated a new approach to self-calibrating designs. He originated the EigenAnt, the first ant colony optimization algorithm with stability and convergence proofs. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Jayadeva as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Jayadeva, as a Fellow thereof.
I am grateful to the Academy for bestowing me with this honor, and to my parents and teachers who have been a constant source of strength and support. Thank you.
Dr. Chandrakanta Kumar. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Chandrakanta Kumar, Scientist, Engineer, Grade SG, Communication Systems Group, UR Rao Satellite Center, Indian Space Research Organization, Bangalore. He has made significant contributions in the areas of antennas and spacecraft communication and has contributed to the design of antennas for spacecraft and ground stations. He was involved with developing antenna systems for Chandrayaan-1 mission. He has also developed elliptical and hyperboloid reflector sections of the beam waveguide for IDSN-32. His contributions to innovations in the design of spherical phased arrays in implementing dual circuit polarization with reduced cost and mass are well known. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Chandrakanta Kumar as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Chandrakanta Kumar, as a Fellow thereof.
Grateful to the Academy and the President, Dr. Shanak Mishra, for considering me for this honor.
Dr. Ravi Kumar, CP. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Ravi Kumar, CP, Director, Talent Development, Texas Instrument, Bangalore. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of VLSI test, VLSI architecture, high performance computing, embedded systems, and networking, including low power test, power aware testing, and signal integrity issues in SoC design. He has established more than 1,000 analog and microcontroller labs across India. He has contributed towards the industry-academia interaction through the publishing of the popular Unity newsletter and delivering over 200 lectures in engineering institutions across India on topics related to embedded systems, VLSI design, and Internet of Things. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Ravi Kumar, CP, as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Ravi Kumar, CP, as a Fellow thereof.
Accept this honor of fellowship from the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
I have great pleasure in introducing the fellows who will be inducted under Section 7, that is Aerospace Engineering. Mr. M.S. Suresh. I have great pleasure in introducing Mr. M.S. Suresh, Associate Director, LPSC, ISRO, Thiruvananthapuram. He has made significant contributions in the areas of turbo machines and cryogenic rocket engines, including design, development, qualification and flight testing of high-speed liquid oxygen turbopumps and liquid hydrogen turbopump of CE-20 cryogenic engine. These turbopumps are the first indigenously designed, realized and qualified turbopumps for a liquid rocket engine by ISRO. He led the team that completed the qualification of CE-20 cryogenic engine and C-25 stage of GSLV Mk3 vehicle and played a key role in successful flight testing of engine and stage during GSLV Mark III D1 mission. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Mr. M.S. Suresh as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Mr. M.S. Suresh, as a Fellow thereof.
Thank you. I am honored and humbled for being selected as a Fellow of INAE, and I am indeed grateful to INAE for this great honor.
Dr. Lalitambika VR. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Lalitambika VR, Distinguished Scientist, Director, Directorate of Human Space Program, Bangalore. She has made significant contributions in the areas of systems modeling, autopilot design, and mission analysis. She was instrumental in enabling the materialization of India's Gaganyaan program and establishment of new human spaceflight center. She has evolved astronaut selection criteria and end-to-end crew management activities for Gaganyaan. At VSSC, she played a key role in the success of PSLV, GSLV, and GSLV Mark III, both as autopilot designer and team leader for design of guidance and autopilot flight software and validation of navigation, guidance, and control system. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Lalitambika VR as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Lalitambika VR, as a Fellow thereof.
honored and humbled to be inducted to the Indian National Academy of Engineering as a fellow, and I shall certainly strive to give my very best to INAE. Thank you.
Dr. Raja Samikanu. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Raja Samikanu, Professor, Academy CSIR and Chief Scientist and Head, Structural Technological Division, CSIR National Aeronautical Laboratory, Bangalore. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of aeroelasticity and aircraft structures, materials, and developed a wind tunnel aeroelastic technique to estimate trans-ionic buffet for the design and flight clearance of ISRO launch vehicles and trans-ionic flutter of LCA wing to supersonic flight. He has contributed to simulation and testing methods to flutter certify transport aircraft like Saras GA-10, Dornier with SETCOM, and Hawker 800 with LCA radon. He has developed a hybrid flutter certification technique for captive flight trials for Jaguar and Mirage aircrafts. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Raja Samikanu as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of INAE, I admit you, Dr. Raja Samikanu, as a Fellow thereof.
Thank you for giving me opportunity to be part of this Indian National Academy of Engineering.
I have great pleasure in introducing the fellows to be inducted this year under Engineering Section 8, that is Mining, Metallurgical and Materials Engineering. Professor Umesh Wagmare. I have great pleasure in introducing Professor Umesh V. Wagmare, Professor and Dean, Academic, Jawaharlal Nehru Center for Advanced Scientific Research, Bangalore. He has made significant research contributions in the area of predictive modeling-based development of advanced materials such as ferroelectrics, shape memory alloys, nickel-based superalloys, nanoscale semiconductors, and thermoelectric and catalytic materials for energy conversion and storage. The modeling done by him has enabled multi-scale simulation of these materials, resulting in enhanced fundamental understanding of properties of technological importance, paving a path forward for computational materials design. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Umesh Wagmare as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Umesh V. Wagmare, as a Fellow thereof.
To be a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I indeed look forward to working with you all and contributing to various activities of the Academy.
Dr. G. Padmanabhan. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. G. Padmanabhan, Director, International Advanced Research Center for Powder Metallurgy and New Materials, Hyderabad. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of laser processing of materials and additive manufacturing, including developing laser-assisted manufacturing solutions for industry, covering materials joining and micromachining technologies. He has introduced laser arc hybrid welding for thick sections, fusion joining of aluminum to steel using cold metal transfer process, and ultra-fast micromachining technology for several applications in the country. He has contributed to the field of laser-assisted power bed additive manufacturing for industrial application. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. G. Padmanabhan as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. G. Padmanabhan, as a Fellow thereof.
Really glad to be here, to be admitted as Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering. I'm really thankful to President Sanak Mishra and all the eminent fellows who have elected me.
Dr. Harish C. Barshilia. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Harish C. Barshilia, Chief Scientist and Head, Surface Engineering Division, CSIR, NAL, Bangalore. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of nanotechnology and coatings for aerospace and engineering sectors. He has developed several coating formulations for concentrated solar power applications and a cost-effective process for anti-reflection coating to be used in PV and solar thermal power plants. For space applications, he has developed transparent conducting coatings for flexible optical solar reflector. He has also made fundamental contributions towards the development of self-clearing and or transparent superhydrophobic coatings for aerospace applications. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Harsh C. Barshilia as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Harish C. Barshilia, as a Fellow thereof.
Indeed, an honor for me to get elected as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering. I thank President INAE for the same. Thank you.
Dr. Dinesh Srivastava. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Dinesh Srivastava, Chief Executive, Nuclear Fuel Complex, Hyderabad. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of nuclear fuel fabrication and materials characterization and has steered the first stage of the Indian nuclear program by manufacturing fuel and critical reactor core structural for nuclear power reactors. He has developed indigenous alloying tubes and components for high-end strategic applications for the Department of Atomic Energy, Space and Defense. He was responsible for the development of a novel manufacturing route for pressure tubes, a critical component of nuclear power reactor, leading to enhancement of productivity with superior quality. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Dinesh Srivastava as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Dinesh Srivastava, as a Fellow thereof.
I would like to thank President INAE for conferring the Fellow of INAE to me. I take the opportunity to thank my department, especially BRC and Nuclear Fuel Complex, for giving all the opportunities, encouragement to perform my duty.
I have now great pleasure in introducing the fellows to be inducted under Engineering Section 9, Energy Engineering. Professor Suddhasattva Basu. I have great pleasure in introducing Professor S. Basu, Director, CSIR, Institute of Minerals and Materials Technology, Bhubaneswar. He has made significant research contributions in the area of fuel cell technology and energy storage materials, including indigenous development of direct ethanol and glucose fuel cell technologies, the palladium and bismuth-based novel anode catalysts, based DGFC and optimized fabrication technique of membrane electrode assembly developed by him recorded the highest power density. The development of highly efficient catalysts based on platinum and tin and understanding of ethanol electrooxidation supported on MCN and online product analysis has scope for commercialization of PEM-based DEFC technology. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor S. Basu as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Suddha Sattva Basu, as a Fellow thereof.
I'd like to thank President, Vice President, and the sectional committee members of INAE for bestowing this honor to me.
Dr. Arun Kumar Nayak. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Arun Kumar Nayak, outstanding scientist, Reactor Engineering Division, Bhabha Atomic Research Center, Mumbai. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of nuclear reactor, thermal hydraulics, and advanced reactor technology, and has contributed to Indian nuclear power program. He has played a key role in the design of advanced heavy water reactor, which is the gateway for large-scale power production from thorium. He has designed innovative, first-of-a-kind passive safety systems to meet the design goals and has developed a novel methodology called Apsara to address reliability. Under his leadership, BARC has built a 20 kilowatt solar thermal plant with superheated steam production at 22-25 degrees centigrade. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Arun Kumar Nayak as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Arun Kumar Nayak, as a Fellow thereof.
Pleasure and honor for me to get elected to this prestigious institute, Indian National Academy of Engineers. I am thankful to INAE and President Dr. Mishra for getting me elected to this academy. Thanks a lot.
Dr. Anuradha Ganesh. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Anuradha Ganesh, Chief Technical Advisor, Cummins Technology India Private Limited, Pune. She has made significant research contributions in the areas of biomass gasification and renewable energy, including the adoption of electrical technology to remove engine particulate matter emissions. She has contributed to the area of clean air and helped gasifier developers to help improve efficiency, reduce tar formation, and develop engines for rural electrification applications. She has also developed technologies for rural applications like semi-continuous drum charring units to convert biomass into charcoal in an eco-friendly way, vacuum pyrolysis units, and catalysts for making biodiesel. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Anuradha Ganesh as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Anuradha Ganesh, as a Fellow thereof.
Honored to be elected as the Fellow of INAE for this year. Thank you so much. I believe it is not just a recognition and comes with it a responsibility to take the contributions of this fraternity.
I have great pleasure in introducing the fellows to be inducted this year under Engineering Section 10. that is interdisciplinary and spatial engineering fields, and leadership in academia, R&D and industry. Professor Soumya Mukherjee. I have great pleasure in introducing Professor Soumya Mukherjee, Institute Chair Professor, Department of Biosciences and Bioengineering, Indian Institute of Technology, Bombay. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of biomedical engineering and biosensors, including low-cost sensors and instrumentation systems, and has developed a microheater to detect explosive vapors. The optical sensor platform developed by him using nanoparticle decorated U-bent optical fibers have been deployed for point-of-use detection of bacteria in water, metallic contaminants like mercury, lead and copper in soil, water and food, and disease marker proteins in serum. He has developed methods to detect antimicrobial resistance in bacteria and antibiotic residues in food products. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Soumya Mukherjee as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Soumya Mukherjee, as a Fellow thereof.
My admission as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering. It is indeed a great honor for me.
Professor Samir Kumar Pal. I have great pleasure in introducing Professor Samir Kumar Pal, Senior Professor, Department of Chemical, Biological and Macromolecular Science, S.N. Bose, National Center for Basic Sciences, Kolkata. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of biomedical instrumentation and nanotechnology, including development of nanomedicines for therapeutic use and point-of-care biomedical devices for low-cost diagnosis of diseases. His contributions in the development of an indigenous, affordable, point-of-care, non-contact, non-invasive device for detection of jaundice, that is bilirubin levels, anemia, that is hemoglobin levels, hypoxia and asphyxia, that is oxygen saturation, in one go are very well recognized. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Samir Kumar Pal as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Samir Kumar Pal, as a Fellow thereof.
Sincerely like to thank INAE, the Honorary Selection Committee, and to those who nominated me for this prestigious fellowship.
Dr. Ambarish Ghosh. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Ambarish Ghosh, Associate Professor, Center for Nanoscience and Engineering, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He has made significant research contributions in the area of nanotechnology and has developed a versatile system of motile micro nano robots, which is of current fundamental and technological interest, especially in microfluidics and drug delivery systems. His work has led to a novel technology where the robots are used to measure mechanical properties of complex and heterogeneous fluidic environments with very high spatial resolution and extremely high speed. They have demonstrated the first artificial nano Voyager in undiluted human blood suitable for in vivo applications. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Ambarish Ghosh as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Ambarish Ghosh, as a Fellow thereof.
An honor to be inducted into the Indian National Academy of Engineering. I thank the President and the members of the selection committee for bestowing this honor on me. Thank you very much.
Dr. Sharmila S. Mande. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Sharmila S. Mande, Distinguished Chief Scientist, TCS Research, Tata Consultancy Services Limited, New Delhi. She has made significant research contributions in the areas of computational biology and bioinformatics, has initiated research in niche areas of microbiome, metagenomic for the analysis of complex data. Her pioneering research includes developing algorithms and yielding multiple solutions for disease diagnostics, therapy, disease monitoring, and other industrial applications. She has developed innovative microbiome-based, non-minimally invasive methodologies of accurately predicting risk at early stages of disease and disorders such as risk of preterm delivery, different cancers, and diabetes. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Sharmila Mande as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Sharmila S. Mande, as a Fellow thereof.
Indian National Academy of Engineering, and I feel privileged to be elected as a Fellow of Indian National Academy of Engineering. Thank you.
Dr. S.S.V. Ramakumar. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. S.S.V. Ramakumar, Director R&D, Indian Oil Corporation Limited, Faridabad. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of lubricants, nanotechnology and alternate energy, and has pursued successful projects from concept to commercialization on developing innovative products and processes for functional verticals of Indian oil. The projects executed were on automotive lubricants, indigenization of high propylene FCC technology, BS6 compliant refinery process technologies, indigenous polymer grade state, waste to energy processes, 2G ethanol enzyme technology, and hydrogen CNG process. He led research teams to develop affordable solar cooking devices and metal air batteries. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. S.S.V. Ramakumar as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. S.S.V. Ramakumar, as a Fellow thereof.
Namaste. I thank Indian National Academy of Engineers for conferring on me this prestigious fellowship of National Academy of Engineers.
I have great pleasure in introducing the fellows to be inducted this year under the category of Foreign Fellows. Professor Jyotirmay Majumdar. I have great pleasure in introducing Professor Jyotirmay Majumdar, Robert H. Lurie, Professor of Mechanical Engineering and Material Science and Engineering, University of Michigan, USA. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of laser-aided manufacturing, materials and additive manufacturing. He has developed the first closed-loop direct metal deposition technology where functional engineering components can be made in near net shape directly from CAD. He has invented the non-contact in situ diagnostics of defect, composition and phase transformation for metallic additive manufacturing and processes generating plasma, which is being commercialized via his startup company called Sensigma LLC in 5 different countries. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Professor Jyotirmay Majumdar as a Fellow of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Professor Jyotirmaya Mazumdar, as a fellow thereof.
Thank you, Dr. Pradeep. May I now invite Professor K. Bhanushankar Rao to read out the citations of young associates one by one.
INAE has selected this year 15 people for Young Engineer Awards. All of them are being inducted as Young Associates. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. N.M. Arup Krishnan, Assistant Professor, Department of Civil Engineering, IIT Delhi. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of physics and database modeling of materials, including development of multi-scale models for cementitious and glassy materials, accelerated design of glasses for optical, automobile, biomedical, and nuclear application, and Python, a package for glass genomics. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. N.M. Anup Krishnan as a Young Associate of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. N.M. Anup Krishnan, as a Young Associate thereof.
I'm indeed thankful for selecting me as the INAE Young Engineer and for inducting me into as an INAE Young Associate. It is indeed a great honor for me.
The next associate to be inducted today is Dr. Swatantra Pratap Singh. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Swatantra Pratap Singh, Assistant Professor, Environmental Science and Engineering Department, IIT Bombay. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of environmental engineering, including development of technologies for fabrication of membranes for water purification and single-step graphene printing on polysulfone polymers and membranes. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Swatantra Pratap Singh as Young Associate of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Swatantra Pratap Singh, as a Young Associate thereof.
And it is an honor for me to receive this award, and I am very thankful to the Indian National Academy of Engineering for this recognition for my work.
The next person to be inducted today is Dr. Pawan Goyal. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Pawan Goyal, Associate Professor, CSE, CSE Department, IIT Kharagpur. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of natural language processing, including Sanskrit computational linguistics and applications to solve a variety of natural language processing tasks such as morph analysis, dependency parsing, and poetry to prose conversion for Sanskrit. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Pawan Goyal as a Young Associate of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Pawan Goyal, as a Young Associate thereof.
Really thankful to Indian National Academy of Engineering for this recognition, and I'm really humbled to receive this honor. So thank you very much.
The next person to be inducted today is Dr. Neeldhara Misra. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Neeldhara Misra, Assistant Professor, Indian Institute of Technology, Gandhinagar. She has made significant research contributions in the areas of theoretical computer science, algorithm design, including designing exact algorithms for NP hard problems that are probably efficient when the input exhibits certain structural properties, and application of this paradigm to solving computational problems. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Neeldhara Misra as Young Associate of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Neeldhara Misra, as a young associate thereof.
Namaskar. I would like to thank the Indian National Academy of Engineering for inducting me as a young associate in the year 2020. I am most grateful for this honor and thank you very much once again.
The next person to be inducted today is Dr. Prasnajit Das. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Prasnajit Das, Senior Scientist, Design and Manufacturing Research Center, CSIR, Central Mechanical Engineering Research Institute, Durgapur. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of materials processing and manufacturing, including Rio pressure die casting of aluminum silicon alloys and indigenous development of tooth-colored dental brackets. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Prasnajit Das as a Young Associate of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Prasnajit Das, as a young associate thereof.
I would like to express my gratitude to Indian National Academy of Engineering for inducting me as a young associate of the Academy.
Now we will induct Dr. Ravikumar Arun. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Ravikumar Arun, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemical Engineering, IIT Jammu. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of microfluidics and energy conversion and storage, including development of membrane-less fuel cells, energy harvesting devices, and lab-on-a-chip development for malaria diagnosis and detection. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Ravikumar Arun as a Young Associate of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Ravikumar Arun, as a young associate thereof.
I would like to thank the Indian National Academy of Engineering for inducting me as young associate, and I would also like to thank INAE for this recognition.
The next person to be inducted today is Dr. Rahul Mangal. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Rahul Mangal, Assistant Professor, Department of Chemical Engineering, IIT Kanpur. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of active matter, polymer physics, and rheology, including advancing the understanding of how the anisotropy in viscosity offered by pneumatic liquid crystals can be used to guide the motion of active colloids for their effective use as drug delivery agents. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Rahul Mangal as a young associate of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Rahul Mangal, as a young associate thereof.
I'm extremely grateful to the Indian National Academy of Engineering for selecting me for this prestigious award. I feel extremely humbled by this recognition, and I will try my best to contribute towards science with my dedicated efforts in future as well.
Now I have a great pleasure in introducing Dr. Swarup Subhash Gajare, Lead Engineer, Eaton India Innovation Center, LLP, Pune. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of power systems, including development of control architecture for reactive power compensation and active harmonic filtering in power systems using voltage regulators and an algorithm for network protector operation for renewable energy sources in the distribution grid. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Swarup Subhash Gajare as Young Associate of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Swarup Subhash Gajare, as a young associate thereof.
I am thankful to Indian National Academy of Engineering for this honor and recognition as Young Associate. Thank you.
Now I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Sumit Kumar Pramanik, Associate Professor, Department of Electrical Engineering, IIT Delhi. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of power electronics and drives, including performance enhancement of variable speed induction motor drives and development of a novel method to eliminate the low order harmonics for the full speed range of the IM using switched capacitor filter. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Sumit Kumar Pramanik as Young Associate of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Sumit Kumar Pramanik, as a young associate thereof.
I would like to thank all the members and associates of Indian National Academy of Engineering for bestowing this honor on me. And I would also like to thank all the colleagues with whom I have worked so far in several projects.
The next person to be inducted is Dr. Digvijay N. Nath. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Digvijay N. Nath, Assistant Professor, Center for Nanoscience and Engineering, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of semiconductor devices, gallium nitride based high electron mobility transistors, and deep UV photodetectors, including indigenous design, development, and fabrication of devices based on gallium nitride transistor architectures. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Digvijay N. Nath as Young Associate of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Digvijay N. Nath, as a young associate thereof.
I am deeply honored and privileged to be inducted into Indian National Academy of Engineering as a young associate. I thank the committee and everyone for considering me worthy of this honor.
The next person to be inducted today is Dr. Raghavendra Kumar Chaudhary. I have a great pleasure in introducing Dr. Raghavendra Kumar Chaudhary, Assistant Professor, Department of Electronics Engineering, IIT Dhanbad. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of RF and microwave engineering, including design of state-of-the-art novel compact tunable smart antennas for 5G mobile communications with MIMO and cognitive radio. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Raghavendra Kumar Chaudhary as a young associate of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Raghavendra Kumar Chaudhary, as a young associate thereof.
I'm so honored and grateful to be a recipient of INAE Young Engineer Award and inducted as a INAE Young Associate. I want to show my genuine gratitude to Professor Debatush Guha, University of Calcutta, for nominating me.
The next person to be inducted today is Dr. Pooja Devi. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Pooja Devi, Senior Scientist, Central Scientific Instruments Organization, Chandigarh. She has made significant research contributions in the areas of material engineering, sensors, water and energy harvesting devices, including development of affordable and portable devices for water pollutants detection, degradation, solar hydrogen production. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Pooja Devi as a young associate of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Pooja Devi, as a young associate thereof.
I am thankful to Indian National Academy of Engineering for recognizing our work and conferring me INAE Young Engineer Award, as well as inducting me as INAE Young Associate. Thank you.
The next young associate to be inducted today is Dr. Mudrika Khandelwal. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. Mudrika Khandelwal, Associate Professor, Department of Material Science and Metallurgical Engineering, IIT Hyderabad. She has made significant research contributions in the areas of nanofibrous composites, including development of active food packaging material which can prevent microbial decay of fruits and vegetables for over 30 days, and a modern drug delivery formulation of herbal antimicrobials. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. Mudrika Khandelwal as a young associate of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Mudrika Khandelwal, as a young associate thereof.
Thank you so much for this award. It really means a lot to the young scientists and engineers of the country. I would really like to thank all those who have made this journey a very good one and a successful one so far. Thank you.
The next associate to be inducted is Dr. M. Satish. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. M. Satish, Scientist Grade 4, Leather Process Technology Division, CSIR, Central Leather Research Institute, Chennai. He has made significant research contributions in the areas of leather technology, including development of a waterless tanning process, which reduces 90% water consumption and 70% of chemical consumption in leather manufacturing. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. M. Satish as a young associate of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. M. Satish, as a young associate thereof.
Thank you very much for inducting me as an INAE Young Associate. I am really grateful to Indian National Academy of Engineering for the honor and recognition. Thank you.
The next person to be inducted today as Young Associate is Dr. D. Josephine Selvarani Ruth. I have great pleasure in introducing Dr. D. Josephine Selvarani Ruth, DST Inspire Faculty Fellow, Robert Bosch Center for Cyber Physical Systems, Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore. She has made significant research contributions in the areas of instrumentation and control engineering, including design and development of a novel self-sensing circuit for the shape memory alloy-based systems. I request you, Mr. President, to induct Dr. D. Josephine Selvarani Ruth as a young associate of the Indian National Academy of Engineering.
In the name and by the authority of the Indian National Academy of Engineering, I admit you, Dr. Josephine Selvarani Ruth, as a young associate thereof.
I'm extremely honored in receiving such an important Indian National Academy of Engineering award and also being inducted as an young associate team. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Professor Bhanushankar Rao. Thank you, Dr. Mishra.
Thank you so much. This brings us to the close of not only this session, but also the 2-day virtual conclave that we were seeing. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much. We do hope that next year, annual convention will bring us all together as in earlier years and we get to meet everyone in person. Ladies and gentlemen, now that brings us to the end of the induction ceremony of fellows, foreign fellows and young associates, and the annual general meet of fellows shall commence shortly. Thank you so much. Jai Hind, Vande Mataram.